Well, would you look at that? We finally have ESPN releasing their initial top 300 for the class of 2024. And guys, there's a lot of Ohio State targets that have been ranked earlier today. Ohio State did receive a commitment from a 3-star offensive tackle. I've been getting trolled all morning because of its, I don't know, guys. Ohio State offensive tackle recruiting is not good. They're taking another project, and we can sit here and say, well, he's underrated like we do every year, but I don't know. I don't know what you want me to tell you. It is what it is. But, guys, there is a major update on all of these 2024 top players. Number one, we're going to look through all their rankings. Dylan Raiola. Take a little look-see. ESPN ranks him number one overall. 247 Sports has him at number one. On3 has him at number one. Rivals has him third. I don't know why Rivals has him third. It's not a big deal. It's very early in the process. I would, Dylan Raiola is obviously going to have to earn his perfect 1,000 overall ranking. And hopefully, we expect him to. He's probably going to light up the Elite 11 next year. He needs to have a great junior season this fall. And then I would expect him to be ranked a perfect 1,000 right now. Again, Rivals is the only one that doesn't have him first. But guys, I don't know if you've been paying attention to the whole Arch Manning thing. How is that kid ranked first overall on every site? Arch Manning has a perfect ranking. He doesn't camp. He didn't do the Elite 11. He faces horrible competition in Louisiana. The only reason he's ranked, a perfect score is because he's related to Peyton Manning. Like, you got to earn it. I'm sorry. He can be a 5-star, that's fine. But the number one overall prospect across the board to where you have a perfect ranking, you got to earn that. I'm sorry. They're getting way too obsessed with Arch Manning. You got to go out and camp a little bit. You got to prove yourself. So, again, it's just like they're all ranking him first because he's related to Eli Payton. He's got the bloodline. I don't know. Maybe it's because they see something in him, but I think it's heavily swayed towards his family bloodline. Either way, Dylan Raiola, we expect him to be number one across the board. Rivals has him at third. Not surprising, but he is going to be the pillar he is the most important recruit. Even though he's already committed, he's the most important recruit for the 2024 class because he's going to recruit other guys like JoJo Trader, like Jeremiah Smith. And speaking of JoJo Trader, you can see unbelievable rankings across the board. He's a consensus top 13 prospect. ESPN has him at number 3 overall. Now, some people think he should be a cornerback. Some people think he should be a receiver. Some sites have him listed as an athlete. Guys, apparently this kid would either be an unbelievable elite receiver or an elite cornerback, and he might even be a better cornerback than receiver. But the intel says he wants to play receiver. If I'm Ohio State, I'm fine with that. If I can get my 2 top receivers, Jeremiah Smith and JoJo Trader, committed, unbelievable. Ohio State is set up really well right now for the class of 2024 cornerbacks. So JoJo Trader, if he wants to play receiver, absolutely. Right now, I would say Ohio State slightly leads for him, but this is a Florida recruit. We expect it to drag on at least into next summer. Remember, these are 2024 kids, and this kid very likely isn't committing anytime soon, although it has been thought Ohio State does lead for him. Of course, we don't know, will NIL play an impact? Him being from Florida, you've got the University of Florida, who's balls deep in NIL. Miami is another one, so we'll see if that plays into it at all. But he is an unbelievable recruit. Consensus, like top 10 guy across the board. Top 3 receiver. There is Jeremiah Smith. Little interesting. I don't know why, but On3 has him as the 57th best player, which is, it's early in the process, but that's still surprising. The things I've heard about Jeremiah Smith, he is a consensus like top 2 receiver in the entire class. And Jeremiah, we know the story on him. My prediction is he'll be the number 2 commit to the 2024 class after Dylan Raiola, because Dylan Raiola's already in. You get Raiola and Jeremiah Smith. That's 2 5-stars. That's 2 top 10 players. That is a crazy start to your recruiting class. And Jeremiah wanted to commit to Ohio State. Ryan Day said back in April, take visits. You're a young kid. I know you want to take visits. Get all your visits out. Do your due diligence. He's been at Alabama. He's been at other places visiting, but we certainly expect Jeremiah Smith to be a Buckeye. And I think there's a major chance that on 3, whenever they do their next recruiting updates, could move him up. I think that's a little bit ridiculous, having him as the number 8 receiver personally. 247 Sports has him at 7th overall. ESPN has him at 12th, and then Rivals has him at 8th. So on 3 is definitely an outlier. Maybe they see something. I mean, it's early in the process. I'm not going to criticize these sites too much, but I don't know. The next guy, Ellis Robinson IV. So this is probably this is like the Caleb Downs of this class for Ohio State. These are the type of recruits, if you're Ohio State and you want to compete with the SEC schools, you got to land a superstar stud. This kid fits that bill. He's originally from New York, I believe. Did he transfer to IMG? I don't know. He transferred somewhere south, and he is just an absolute superstar. I will say this is a crazy outlier for Rivals. You take a look at his rankings, 6, 4, 7, and then Rivals has him as 58th overall outside of the top 50. So if Rivals moves him up, he might be like a top 3 player in the composite, because the other 3 sites absolutely love him. He did make a 2-day visit to Ohio State back in June. Such a critical visit this early in the process. Get the dialogue going. This is the type of kid, if you want to compete with the SEC, you got to land. Ohio State has identified him as their number 1 cornerback target out of state. The next guy we're looking at is Bryce West. So this is the number 1 player in Ohio, potential 5-star. You can take a look. He's listed on 3, has him as the number 9 overall player. I think that's a bit aggressive. But then on the other side of it, 247 outside of the top 100 and not even the number 1 player in the state of Ohio, which is just ridiculous. ESPN has him at 27, and then Rivals has him at 46. Both have him as the number 1 player in Ohio. So this kid is certainly the number 1 player when in the state of Ohio. When 247 Sports updates their 2024 rankings, which I think could come in August, although that's just speculation, I don't know. I'm sure they're going to move him to be the number 1 player and at least move him, you would think, inside the top 60. If that happens, he very likely becomes a composite 5-star, and Ohio State is heavily favored to land him, being from near Cleveland, so major Buckeye country there. Bryce West, he's a cornerback. You land Ellis Robinson, you land Bryce West. That is an amazing start to your defense, although Ellis is probably going to take his time. Bryce West is a kid. He's, in-state. Ohio State and Ryan Day, they really want to wrap up the in-state recruiting early. They want to get these top targets committed so they can recruit for the class. The next guy, Stacy Gage. So this is a kid that Dylan Raiola is recruiting, and it'll be very interesting depending on what happens with Ohio State running back recruiting this year. We could have back-to-back years of underwhelming running back recruiting, which could... you got to kick it into gear next year. You got to land someone really elite, and it could be this kid who is a consensus top 70 player across the board. He's as high as number 36 overall, so probably a top 50 prospect when it's all said and done from the state of Florida. And Dylan Raiola's been all over this kid, recruiting him. This looks like their number 1 running back target, at least at this point. And again, Mark Fletcher, he might stay committed, he might not. But either way, if Mark Fletcher is your only commit, you're in desperate need of an elite running back in 2024. That's a need at that point. We thought we were going to get Richard Young, and look what happened to that. So they're going to have to land someone elite, and it looks like this kid is their number 1 target for 2024. Next, Aaron Scott. So this is another player from Ohio, another cornerback from Ohio. You can see on 3, loves this kid. The 32nd overall player, 247 Sports has him at 227th. So literally like 200 spots lower ESPN has him at 115, and then Rivals has him at 208. So on 3, a significant outlier there. But this kid, he's a top 5 player in the state of Ohio. Ohio State would love to have a cornerback class of Ellis Robinson IV, Bryce West, and Aaron Scott. Those are 3 great corners. 2 in-state corners, very realistic possibility. This is an in-state guy you got to lock down. Garrett Stover, another in-state player, received a really good ranking from ESPN, 104th overall, number 3 player in the state. Rivals doesn't even have him ranked, so he's outside of their top 300. 247 Sports 187, 247 Sports 236. On 3 has him 187. So a fringe top 200 prospect, maybe 150. We'll have to see. The linebacker, Brian Robinson, very interesting kid from Youngstown, I believe. This kid got an offer from Georgia. So that is rare for Georgia to go into Youngstown and offer a defensive edge rusher. That tells me this kid possibly could be a national recruit. ESPN gave him 51st overall and the number 2 player in the state of Ohio. On 3 has him at 170th. 247 Sports has him as a 3-star. And Rivals has him at 227. So this is definitely a stock-up guy. Could be, depending on if he grows a little bit more. There's been thoughts he might be a tweener as long as he grows. I mean, if Georgia's going to offer you got to land this kid if you're Ohio State. Georgia's coming to Youngstown and offering him this early in the process. Yeah. You got to land this kid for sure. Brian Robinson looks very good. Galloway, the tight end. So it always seems like at least with one highly ranked Ohio recruit, it happens every year. And in 2024, it looks like it's going to be Galloway. It looks like LSU leads for him. He's kind of an interesting recruit. Evan Ingram type tight end. Right now, I don't think Ohio State's going to land him. 247 Sports has him ranked higher than Bryce West, which is, they have him as the number 1 player in Ohio. I think he's either the 4th or 5th maybe, but we'll see how his recruitment develops. Ohio State is not a tight end hotbed by any stretch, that's for sure. Jordan Marshall, so this is another running back. Ohio State looking like they're going to take 2 running backs in the class of 2024, and this would be a great number 2 running back to take. Jordan Marshall from, I believe, Akron, Ohio. He's a guy that's pretty much a consensus top 200 player across the board, except for Rivals, who has him as a 3-star, but a very good-looking prospect, top 10 player in the state of Ohio, Jordan Marshall. And then we've also got Luke Hamilton, who's kind of a very similar interior prospect to the 2 Ohio State currently has committed this year. Not Luke Montgomery, the other 2 guys. Luke Montgomery's obviously a top 50 player, but this kid, he's around a top 200 player. You got to land these in-state and, offensive guards. It's fine. This kid's not going to wow anyone, Luke Hamilton, but he's a solid 4-star, and he can help make, your class on the interior offensive line. I expect them. I don't know if they've offered him yet, but he's a guy I would certainly expect to get an offer. So that's just an update on where some targets are in the 2024 class. I don't know when the next 2024 update is coming. Probably in August, because I know all the sites want to do their 2023 updates this month, especially 247 Sports. So maybe in August we get some updates, but definitely it's looking good. Certainly, I've said this several times, and I really want people to understand, Ryan Day has never had a situation like this where you have your superstar quarterback already committed and already recruiting 5-star receivers to join him. So I would expect Ohio State to land unbelievable skill position players in the 2024 class with the number 1 overall player already on board as your first commit. This is exactly how you draw up the start to a superstar class. Ohio State currently has 1 commit, and it's the number 1 overall player. So it's kind of funny. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.